Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for joining us today on SportsNetworker.com. Today I'm very humbled to be joined by Mark Lamping, former team president of the St. Louis Cardinals, former CEO of the new Meadowlands Stadium Company, and current team president of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mark, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, and obviously you humble easily.
Well, thanks for joining us today, and let's jump right into the first question here. As the former team president of the St. Louis Cardinals and former CEO of the new Meadowlands Stadium Company, what path did you take that allowed you to build such an incredible background?
Well, I got very very lucky early in my career. I started with Anheuser-Busch actually in a training program, development program in their corporate finance and planning division, and was fortunate through that process to migrate into the marketing department, and through a lot of very fortunate timing and relationships that I had built during my time there. Was fortunate to become the director of sports marketing at Anheuser-Busch, and after leaving the company for just a few months, the baseball strike of 1994 was getting very close. Anheuser-Busch owned the St. Louis Cardinals, and at that point in time, August Busch III, the chairman of Anheuser-Busch, decided that they needed to bring someone into the franchise that came from more of a sales and marketing background versus a labor relations background, which traditionally the Anheuser-Busch had done in terms of the president of the Cardinals. Generally, what would happen in the past is that when it was time to name a president of the St. Louis Cardinals, Anheuser-Busch would give that opportunity to their head of their labor relations group, particularly someone who was nearing the end of their career. So I was really lucky that they had made a decision to go in the path of someone that had sales and marketing background. Since I was a very familiar commodity, I'd worked very close with senior management at Anheuser-Busch. I was given the unbelievable opportunity at a relatively young age to become president of the Cardinals. So, out of the blue at age 36, I was named president of the club.
As you're now the current team president of the Jacksonville Jaguars, how would you say your position as president of a football team differs from your role as president from a baseball team?
Well, a lot of the fundamentals are the same. It's about trying to build the best possible team you can. No matter what type of sport you happen to be in or what type of industry you happen to be working in, you're only going to be as good as the people that you work with. So, those fundamentals are all the same. The aspect of having great employees, making sure that they recognize their importance. That we invest in our employees, and in return we ask our employees to be focused on those things that are most important and give them the resources to be successful and hold them accountable for results. So from that perspective, football, baseball, any type of industry, all about the same. Specifically, football versus baseball, there's a huge difference. The business model for football is very different than the baseball model. The emotion, the importance of each and every game in football pales in comparison to baseball. Baseball is a great sport, but the season is like a slow, steady drumbeat, and it unfolds like a great novel over many, many months. Football is not that way. I mean, you need to be ready to go as if it's the seventh game of the World Series on opening day in the NFL season. That's how important the games are, and that's the importance that NFL fans put on the results each and every week.
Since new owner Shahid Khan took over the franchise recently, have you noticed any changes significantly within the organization?
Well, I didn't work here prior to Shad purchasing the team, so anything I would be commenting on about what happened prior to me getting here would be just things that I did not have the opportunity to observe firsthand. I can tell you that Shad has brought a tremendous amount of energy to this organization. Its genesis is in a couple areas. First, Shad's a wonderful guy. He not only cares about the people that work for him, but he cares about their families as well. He has a unbelievable success story, and as such, he has very, very high expectations for the entire organization. The great thing about Shad is that he's also prepared to allow people to make decisions, to give them the resources necessary to be successful, and all we need to do in return is to be accountable for results. And there's not a person around that wouldn't take that that structure each and every day. if you have a boss that believes in you, that's going to give you the resources necessary to be successful, that's going to allow you to make decisions, and all you have to do is agree to be accountable for your results, that's about as good as it gets.
What is your relationship like with General Manager Gene Smith, and what role do you two have on a day-to-day basis within team decisions?
Well, we're peers. Both Gene and I report to the owner, Shahid Khan. We have very specific roles and responsibilities. Gene is responsible for providing the players that compete on the field. I'm responsible for all of our activities off the field, and in many respects, it's my role to do everything we possibly can on the business side to support Gene in his efforts and the efforts of Mike Mularkey, our head coach.
Mm-hmm. What would you say was the most powerful decision you made throughout your career in sports?
Well, that's a tough one. Probably the decision I made when I was 35 years old to leave the job as group director of sports marketing at Anheuser-Busch to become the commissioner of the Continental Basketball Association. I made that decision at a relatively young age, and probably didn't realize the magnitude of the decision that I had just made. But I left Anheuser-Busch on the best of terms, and lo and behold, about 5 months later, I got a call back from Anheuser-Busch wondering if I might be interested in returning to the company as president of the Cardinals. And I don't know that the fact that I left reminded them that maybe I might be someone who can fit into their plans long term with the franchise or not. But that was it's sort of serendipity. Sometimes the best comes out of things that you don't necessarily expect.
Mark, the last question we have for you today is, what advice would you give to those aspiring to break into the business of sports?
Well, first, keep your options open. The sports business is a very, very difficult industry to get into. It's simple economics. You got a lot of people that want to get into sports, and you don't have a lot of jobs that are open. You don't have a lot of jobs that are open with very few exceptions. Normally, sports teams aren't adding jobs. Mm-hmm. It's a fairly mature industry, so you're not going to see a lot of organic job growth. And that's compounded by the fact that you don't have a lot of turnover. So, my advice to young people is always, keep your options open. You don't have to go directly into sports. You can always migrate into sports. That's what I did. And when you're young in your career and you want to go into sports, you think that's the case, but keep your options open. Go into if you can't get into sports, go into an industry that provides you career opportunities that perhaps could take you down a path that could make you someone who could be very desirable for a sports team. Later down your career. Try to focus on those core competencies that you believe makes executives in sports very successful, and see if you can't acquire those core competencies and develop them in other industries that, quite honestly, could probably pay you a lot more in an entry-level position.
Well, Mark, thanks very much for joining us today. And for SportsNetworker.com, I'm Lucas Biebelberg. Have a great day.